talking, I don't sweat that. If they don't trust me either, I respect that. But she need down the ride, oh, I bet that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that. Don't forget that. Don't forget that. Ooh, I slide for my people, don't forget that.
Well, I don't know if you know, but there are charges brought up against our president. And one of them was he went AWOL at the beginning of our contract negotiations. This is his very first contract. He just got elected. And so he went AWOL on us. He just left. Nobody knew where he was at. He shows up like, I don't know how many months later. He just walks back in like, hey, what y'all been doing? Well, hell, we don't have a contract. It's been going on for almost 500 days without a contract. And about 10 months ago, he starts putting out, we're a couple of weeks away. We're right there, a couple of weeks. Just have a few things that we're still working on, a couple of weeks away. That was about 10 months ago. And then he says, hey, we're going to go lock ourselves down with labor, with management. This was a couple of weeks, about a month ago. And we're not coming out until we have a tentative agreement. Well, he came out with no tentative agreement. And so now he's saying it's hours away. We're hours away. And hell, I got the convention starting Monday. And so I think that it's directly responsible for him. I know that there are a lot on social media that say, hey, this happens all the time. It has never been like this before, man. This dude is completely incompetent. And so to me, the reason for the delay is that he was AWOL on us when it first started. And I think that management's taken advantage of him and his inexperience. No disrespect to anybody, no disrespect, but we have carriers starting at fast food wages. This is a federal employment job, a federal government job. You know, when I first started and you told people you were employed with the Postal Service, man, you're rich. You know, you have it made. But we have carriers living in their cars, union halls having to put in showers so that they can take showers because they're having to live out of their cars. Our wages are fast food when you start out, completely unacceptable. And we got carriers that are hurting. And it's a nonchalant attitude by our leadership right now that has pissed a lot of people off, man. and they're militant right now and extremely angry.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is JH. How are y'all doing, Postal family? Is everyone good? Is everyone cool? Is everyone clean? Is everyone crisp? Is everyone irie? Haha, let us chat, shall we? This is really hurting my cheeks and my voice as well. So let's get into the mix. Y'all heard exactly what that man was talking about. If you don't know who that is, you need to go check out From A to Arbitration. So he is a letter carrier, 31 years, and he is one of the main union people that is fighting in order to get workers' rights restored to the worker. Now, if you heard the beginning of the video, you heard him say that the president of the NALC was missing in action and all the foolishness that went with it. No news to everyone else, but he doesn't have very much faith in him. You also will hear in another clip on why it's imperative for them to be going to those conventions and what the conventions entail. Now, I just spoke about this for the APWU. You heard them talk about it. Now you will hear this gentleman here speak about why it's important for them to attend the conventions and bring up different things that you, the actual worker, requests and needs as far as safety, etc. Again, I can't go back and say, I told you so. What I am going to say is, you should really not have faith in this gentleman because his whole MO has been to work hand in hand in management. So we're going to look at the next clip and then I'll evaluate it for you. And, you know, we'll talk about it. I mean, this is nothing new, but sometimes you need to hear it from someone else. And maybe this will give you a little clarity on what you should and should not be looking for in your union contract that's upcoming. All right, let's take a peek.
Just explain to us the convention that's happening next week in Boston for the National Association of Letter Carriers. You know, there's a lot of folks who are not members of unions who definitely don't understand the importance of it, but even some people who are in unions, you know, the national convention, you know, what's going on there, why is it important, et cetera, et cetera.
Believe it or not, the Postal Service is the most mismanaged organization in the country. I would put it up against anybody as far as it being mismanaged. And if we didn't have the union in the Postal Service, we'd probably be making about $10 an hour. And that's not a joke. But the convention is every 2 years. We'll be going to Boston next week. And I see a lot of people on social media, a lot of carriers talking about it's just a big party and just a waste of money. And it's a week of annual. We go up there and just a hobnob, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. A lot of people that have gripes and complaints about the Constitution, about resolutions, that's where that stuff happens. And so it's absolutely one of the most important things that the union does are these conventions, because that's where resolutions are passed. That's where the Constitution can be changed. If you don't like something, if you don't like working conditions, that's where those things are addressed and adopted, if so. And so, yeah, it's absolutely critical, the National Convention. One of the biggest examples would be this HIP training that management is required to do every April 1st. And it's heat illness prevention training. And we had a death of a brother down in Dallas, Mr. Gates, and I don't know if you've heard that episode. I don't know how many you listened to, but he passed away due to the heat. And this gentleman was on the verge of retirement. And the first thing that management came out and said was it kind of put the blame on him, where they said that he had received this HIP training. So there's no reason for this to happen, basically, only to find out that management falsified his HIP training. And we have found over this country, a majority of the carriers' training had been falsified. Management went in and said that the carriers had received training when in fact they didn't. Our president refused to acknowledge that this training was first falsified, and the fact that we needed to get in the streets and mobilize and let the people of the country know what was going on as far as our working conditions. And so I was irate about that. I thought that our president should be presidential. We had an email that I read on one of my episodes the other day where one of the managers, an upper management, sent out an email stating that they wanted us out of the office in an hour. That's completely fabricated. They made that up. Well, he sends out an email and said, you know, everybody wants to stay in the cool air. Cut the air conditioner off on the letter carriers and force them out of the office.
Wow.
And so that's what we deal with all the time. But our president is non-existent. We also have this route adjustment process. In this route adjustment process, he signed off on it. It will be a mutual process. We were going to be working with management. First off, you don't ever do that because they're never honest. They will always screw that up. And so in this memo, he starts putting these times down, you know, a load time where we load our vehicle every day, and that they can watch us on the street with these new scanners we have, that they can sit in their office and watch us on the street jointly. You never do that. You don't say a letter carrier can be watched on the street without actually going out there and watching them. And these load times, you never put times on memos because management will bastardize that every time. And that's exactly what happened. I've been here 32 years and I've never seen it as bad as it is today, with the carriers being bullied, intimidated, pushed around based off of these memos and the times that this idiotic president has put on there. And the fact that they're watching us now, questioning us, berating us as far as stationary events, on the street when they've not done it. They're sitting in the office watching us on a TV screen. And so we'd have to get in more into that in depth so people understand what I'm talking about. But any carrier listening knows what I'm talking about. But he's completely screwed that up. you never open the door for management to watch us sitting inside the office. There's a requirement for them to go to the street and watch us, and they don't do it. They're too lazy. And so, yeah, that's just a couple of examples of his complete failures as far as the letter carrier is concerned.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there. I don't think I need to speak very much more. The full video is in the pinned comment. I appreciate anyone that is there fighting for workers' rights. Workers' rights. You heard he just spoke about safety and how management has gone above to basically falsify logs. I've spoken about that, where they're saying they give you the specific training for something and they haven't, and why, especially now. I know I mentioned probably about a year, maybe 2 years ago, that they tend to work hand in hand with management when it came down to the carriers and how they evaluate your routes. Everyone blamed DeJoy. But what did this man just say? This is something your union president negotiated with them and agreed to. DeJoy didn't have anything to do with that. DeJoy's not sitting there with them. Your union president said, yes, please watch our people. Please go out on the routes. He agreed to it. So I think that the issue where we are focusing our anger on DeJoy, he was given a screwed up post office to deal with. That doesn't make any excuses for him, but who is truly fighting for your rights is the question. So in past videos, I've always told you, get involved in your union. Go to your union meetings. If you feel like they're not being transparent, get them out of there. It seems easier said than done, but it's time for you not to complain. It's time for you to step up. Your livelihood depends on it. It's one thing to sit there in my comments and say, we deserve more money. I've seen it. Hundreds, thousands of comments say the same thing. You do deserve more money, but you have to get involved. You have to get involved. If you watch this whole video, which will be pinned, you will hear that Corey was not in the union when he first got in. It wasn't that he was anti-union, but he didn't feel as if it was helpful for him. Now he's basically one of the faces that are fighting for your rights, for your to try to get the transparency, to help you. But in order for you to be helped, you have to help yourself. Again, this is not me badgering you. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything when I give you information. But when you hear it from someone else, maybe they relay the message differently than me, but it all comes down to the same thing. Get involved. They told you the steps. You heard it. He said they go up to the convention with information from their local, and whatever their local puts up, they bring it to the convention. Then they vote on it. Then they bring it up and they try to get it passed. You cannot be silent. You cannot be silent. We can say, oh, we need this, we need that. It's great to put it in my comment section. Don't stop commenting. But you have to push yourself to do something better. Don't be part of the problem. Move up. Try to get your voice heard. Try to, however you can. Now, I don't have the answer for a lot of things, but when people give you the formula, it's up to you to use this in order to figure out how you can be helpful. How you can be helpful. All right? Instead of being part of the problem. Now, this is JH. Please feel free to leave your comments in the comments section, and definitely listen to that video that's pinned down in the pinned comment. The video starts at about 30 minutes in, so you can watch it from there. All right, but it's extremely informative, and the plethora of information that they can give you, it's by far more than this guy here does in regards to your union. in regards to how you have to get involved. Please watch him. This is JH. Y'all have yourself a great rest of your day. I'm out.
Unexpected expenses stressing you out? Get the money you need now with Loans for Feds, a program designed specifically for federal employees. Bad credit is not a problem. Application is fast and easy with same-day approvals. Apply now.